Power isn't loud. It's not reckless. It's not the person shouting the loudest or making the biggest scene. Real power is silent. It moves carefully, strategically, almost invisibly, until it's too late for anyone to stop it. Those who truly master themselves, who control perception, timing, and action, don't just survive in this world, they dominate it. The Stoics knew this, and so did thinkers like Machiavelli. They understood that victory doesn't belong to the strongest or the most aggressive. It belongs to the most disciplined, the most patient, the most cunning. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." It's not about looking graceful. It's about knowing when to strike and when to wait, when to move, and when to be still. In today's world, where everyone is shouting for attention, real dominance lies in being the one who doesn't need to. In this episode, we dive into 5 ruthless yet timeless principles drawn from Stoic philosophy and Machiavellian strategy that will teach you how to outsmart anyone and dominate any situation without ever losing your calm or your center. Move with patience. Move with silence. Move with purpose. And in doing so, become the force no one sees coming, the presence no one dares to challenge. Let's begin. 1. Master the essence of silent power. The world is noisy. People shout to be heard, brag to be seen, and rush to make their presence known. But those who truly hold power, they move in silence. They don't waste energy proving anything to anyone. Their power is felt, not flaunted. And that feeling, quiet, composed, undeniable, is what makes them truly formidable. True power is quiet because it doesn't need validation. It doesn't seek attention. The louder you are, the more of your insecurity you reveal. The more noise you make, the more weakness you expose. Silent power, on the other hand, is rooted in self-mastery. It's the strength to hold back when you want to lash out, to observe when you want to speak, to act only when the moment is right. Imagine walking into a room full of people. Some are talking loudly, laughing, trying desperately to command attention. But then there's one person who simply stands there, calm, grounded, silent. No flashy gestures, no eager chatter, just presence. Who do you notice more? Who feels like they carry real weight? That's the essence of silent power. It's magnetic. It's unsettling to those who thrive on noise because silence forces them to confront themselves. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." It's not about saying you're powerful. It's about embodying it in every breath, every movement. Power that is silent is power that is unchallengeable because it doesn't invite conflict. It commands respect without needing to demand it. I once knew someone who understood this instinctively. In meetings, he rarely spoke unless necessary. When he did, his words were measured, deliberate. He never interrupted, never raised his voice. But when he spoke, everyone listened, and when he acted, the direction was set without debate. His silence didn't diminish his authority. It magnified it. People respected him not because he fought for attention, but because he mastered the art of conserving it, of controlling it. The secret is this: when you move in silence, you let others fill the void with their own imagination. They begin to wonder about you. They project strength onto you. They unravel themselves trying to guess your thoughts, your next move, your true power. Meanwhile, you remain still, composed, unshaken. Mastering silent power isn't about withdrawal. It's about controlled presence. It's about knowing that you don't have to announce your moves to the world. You move strategically, quietly, with a purpose that doesn't require applause or acknowledgement. So train yourself to embrace silence. Hold back when you feel the need to overshare. Choose your words carefully. Let your actions be few but decisive. Move with an energy that speaks louder than any words ever could. Because when you master silent power, you no longer need to compete for dominance. You simply become undeniable. 2. Master perception. Own the moment. Reality, as most people experience it, isn't built on truth. It's built on perception. People don't react to what is. They react to what they believe is happening. And if you control that belief, if you shape the way others see you and the world around you, you control the outcome before a single word is spoken. This is why mastering perception is not just a tool, it's a weapon. It's how you win without fighting. It's how you move through the world with an invisible shield, bending situations to your will without ever seeming forceful or aggressive. When you walk into a room, your posture speaks before you do. Your composure, your calmness, your self-control. They all send messages that others receive on a subconscious level. If you enter a situation frantic, defensive, or desperate, you've already lost control of the narrative. But if you remain composed, steady, almost indifferent, you project strength, certainty, and authority. You own the moment without having to seize it forcefully. Seneca reminds us, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Understand this, and you will see why perception matters more than facts. People's imagination fills the gaps they don't understand. If you stay calm while others panic, they will imagine you know something they don't. If you remain silent while others argue, they will wonder what strength you're holding back. The less you reveal, the more power you wield. I remember once watching a negotiation unfold between two business leaders. One of them spoke first, laying out his points aggressively, trying to control the conversation. The other sat back, calm, measured, barely speaking at all. He listened more than he talked. When he finally did speak, his words were simple but firm, delivered with complete calmness. He owned the entire room, not because he overpowered the other man with noise, but because his composure made everyone believe he was the one in control. And he was. Perception is about crafting the image you want others to respond to. It's about controlling your body language, your tone, your timing. It's about never revealing your full hand, never acting out of desperation, never allowing someone else to dictate how you appear. The greatest battles are won before they even begin, through the control of perception. If you can stay calm while others lose their heads, if you can project certainty while others doubt themselves, you will always hold the upper hand. Train yourself to recognize when you are giving away power by how you present yourself. Breathe slower when you feel rushed. Speak more quietly when others grow louder. Hold your posture firm when the room feels tense. These small acts are signals. They tell others this is someone who cannot be rattled. Own the moment not by force, but by presence. Control perception, and reality itself will start bending in your favor. 3rd, shape the field. Set the terms. Most people make the mistake of confronting their problems head-on. They push harder, shout louder, force more. But the wise know that direct confrontation is almost always a trap. When you push directly against an obstacle, you expose yourself. You become predictable. You become easy to counter. True power doesn't move in straight lines. It shapes the environment itself, bending the field until victory becomes inevitable. In life, as in war, the one who chooses the battlefield usually wins. The one who sets the terms of engagement controls the outcome before the fight even begins. If you let others dictate the situation, if you allow them to define the rules, the timing, the pressure, you're already playing their game, and you're already losing. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He knew that power isn't about clashing swords, it's about controlling the setup so that by the time a decision must be made, the choice is obvious, and it favors you. Epictetus echoes the same idea in different words. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In other words, define your terms first. Shape your world first. Move before others even know movement is happening. Imagine playing chess not to defeat your opponent piece by piece, but by arranging the board so perfectly that they have nowhere left to move. That's the essence of shaping the field. I once witnessed a master negotiator work a deal that looked impossible on paper. Everyone expected conflict, a drawn-out battle. Instead, he spent weeks subtly shifting the conversation, aligning incentives, planting ideas. By the time the formal meeting happened, the other side had already boxed themselves into a corner without even realizing it. They walked right into a situation where agreeing to his terms wasn't just the best option, it was the only option. And he never once raised his voice or made a demand. He shaped the field until victory was simply the natural result. This principle applies everywhere. In arguments, never argue where your opponent is strongest. Redirect the conversation to the ground where you hold the advantage. In career moves, don't compete for the crowded positions everyone else wants. Create a niche where you stand alone. In your daily interactions, don't react to others' emotions. Set the tone so that they are reacting to you. The biggest mistake you can make is trying to win battles on someone else's terms. That's a fool's game. True dominance comes from setting the stage so perfectly that you never have to fight at all. The other side defeats themselves by moving exactly where you want them to. To shape the field is to understand that you don't have to overpower everyone. You just have to design the environment so that the outcome bends toward you naturally. And when you do this right, your victory feels inevitable, not forced, not stolen, but earned through intelligence, patience, and mastery of the unseen forces at play. Set the terms. Control the field. And you'll realize that most battles are won long before anyone ever realizes a battle has begun. 4. Use the power of being underestimated. In a world obsessed with appearances, many think the path to power lies in showing strength at every turn, flexing, boasting, making sure everyone knows just how capable they are. But the truly powerful? They understand that appearing harmless is not a weakness. It's a weapon. There's a quiet brilliance in being underestimated. When people see you as no threat, they relax. Their guard drops. They reveal their plans, their weaknesses, their arrogance. They stop strategizing against you because in their minds they've already won. And that's exactly when you strike. Seneca once wrote, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." An unconquerable mind doesn't need to flaunt its power. It doesn't need to fight battles that can be won through patience and precision. It moves quietly, watches carefully, and acts only when the time is perfect. Think about the fox in the forest. It's not the loudest, the biggest, or the flashiest animal. It survives and often triumphs because it's cunning. It uses others' overconfidence against them. It lets them believe they've won, lets them grow careless, then moves when it matters most. I remember a story of a man who was constantly overlooked in his company. He wasn't loud, wasn't flashy. Others thought of him as just another face in the crowd. They didn't realize that while they were busy boasting and competing for attention, he was studying everything, every system, every weakness, every person. And when an opportunity arose, he was ready. He moved decisively, making changes that left his competitors scrambling. They never even saw him coming, because in their arrogance, they had dismissed him, and that was their fatal mistake. The beauty of being underestimated is that it gives you the element of surprise. When you feign weakness, others overplay their hands. They show you their moves while you conceal yours. They exhaust themselves trying to dominate a battle you never intended to fight on their terms. Meanwhile, you are positioning, waiting, preparing, This is not about pretending to be incompetent. It's about choosing not to reveal the full extent of your capabilities until the perfect moment. It's about knowing that your real strength is not in being seen. It's in being patient enough to strike when no one expects it, with such precision and force that no recovery is possible. Most people cannot resist the temptation to show off. Let them. Let them announce their plans, flex their muscles, waste their energy. You, meanwhile, remain calm, calculated, unseen, and when the moment comes, you don't just win, you dismantle. You finish the battle before it truly begins. Never fear being underestimated. Invite it, cultivate it, wear it like armor, because when the world sees you as small, they will never be prepared for how big your impact will be. 5. Finish decisively. No loose ends. When the time for action comes, there is only one rule. Finish it completely. No hesitation, no second guessing, no half measures, because every loose end you leave behind, every unresolved battle, every unfinished confrontation, it will come back to haunt you. The truly powerful don't strike often, but when they do, they strike with such finality that no threat remains. Half measures prolong conflict. They leave openings for resentment, revenge, unfinished business. And unfinished business has a way of growing in the dark. It festers, strengthens, and eventually returns bigger, harder, and far more dangerous than before. But when you finish decisively, you leave no room for doubt, no opportunity for enemies to regroup, no space for weakness to grow back. You bring closure so complete that the battle can never restart. Marcus Aurelius captured this mindset perfectly. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Action must be intentional, precise, and final. There is no room for impulsiveness, no room for emotional reactions that leave gaps. When you move, move fully. When you decide, decide completely. When you end something, end it with such clarity that no ambiguity survives. I remember witnessing someone who embodied this rule perfectly. He wasn't the loudest leader. He wasn't the flashiest. But when decisions had to be made, real decisions, hard ones, he moved with brutal precision. He didn't explain, didn't overthink. He acted. Projects that didn't serve the mission were cut. Toxic influences were removed. Plans were executed without endless debate. And because of this, he didn't just survive in a competitive environment, he dominated it. Everyone else was busy talking, weighing options, worrying about fallout. He was already 5 moves ahead, free of the baggage they were too afraid to shed. Finishing decisively isn't about cruelty, it's about clarity. It's about understanding that mercy to weakness, hesitation to act, or fear of offending the wrong people will cost you far more in the long run. You don't owe weakness a second chance. You don't owe doubt another day. When it's time to end something, an unhealthy habit, a toxic relationship, a stagnant project, you must do it cleanly, fully, and without apology. The true unstoppable force isn't the one who fights constantly. It's the one who strikes so effectively that no fight is necessary again. When you act, act in a way that leaves no doubt. When you finish, finish in a way that leaves no return. Close the chapter with such finality that even your doubts can't find a reason to revisit it. Move on with strength. Move on with clarity, and make it so that when others think of challenging you, they remember how cleanly, how decisively you handle every obstacle that dares to stand in your way. Power isn't about shouting louder. It's not about fighting harder. It's about mastering yourself so completely that you no longer need to announce your strength. Your very presence makes it known. Throughout this journey, we've uncovered the 5 ruthless rules that separate the ordinary from the unstoppable. Mastering silent power, shaping perception, controlling the field, using underestimation as a weapon, and finishing every move decisively without leaving anything to chance. Each rule is a blade, sharpened not for chaos, but for precision, for clarity, for dominance without noise. Marcus Aurelius taught us that true strength lies not in conquering others, but in mastering ourselves. Machiavelli showed that the most powerful victories are won long before a battle begins, through patience, through control, through strategy. Move with patience. Move with silence. Move with purpose. When you embody these principles, you become more than just another competitor. You become the presence that shapes the room, the force that moves the field, the mind that others cannot anticipate. And remember, dominance isn't about oppression or fear. It's about mastery of yourself, of your perceptions, and of the unseen currents that most people are too distracted to notice. In a world of noise, be the silence that commands respect. In a world of chaos, be the stillness that unnerves. In a world of weakness, be the quiet, patient force that no one dares to challenge. Master yourself first, and the world will follow.